Hey guys! So when I show off the 701C, people usually say, well, this thing is really tiny, and in fact, you might say that it is. If I pick up, for example, a MacBook Air, you can see that the 701 is definitely a pretty tiny machine. This is a 13-inch MacBook Air in comparison. So size-wise, it's fairly tiny. It's a 10-point-something inch display, so it's definitely small by today's standards. But this screen size was about the norm for that period. But when they usually say that, I bring out another machine. This one here. This is the Olivetti Quaderno. And if we pick up again the 701, there's definitely a bit of a size difference going on here. It's even smaller. This is probably, it's actually what Olivetti called the first sub-notebook. This is pretty much the father of the netbook. This is pretty much a fully featured portable PC in a very tiny package. It's been shrunk down to the limit, pretty much, and still maintains pretty much every feature that a regular portable computer has. For example, inside there is an NEC V30 processor, 16 MHz. For 1992, that wasn't all that bad. It also has a fairly big display. If you look at other machines, this is a 640 by 400 display, and it's actually not that bad. It's got a almost full-size keyboard, and it's definitely usable. It's not very comfortable, but it's definitely usable. It does have a numpad. There are probably no other netbooks with a numpad. And it's got a couple of I/O ports. There is a card slot here, and under this door we have a serial and a parallel port, also used for the floppy, and of course they're both proprietary because they needed to make them small. On the side here we have a couple of other interesting things. There's a speaker, of course. We got a volume control, microphone in, headphone out, and this switch. This switch here is actually for a voice recorder. This computer here, even when turned off, can act like a digital voice recorder. In fact, these buttons here are for recording and playing back your voice memos. So you could just take this machine out of your pocket, turn it on, and just start recording whatever. If you want to record a note, if you want to record a lesson, whatever. It's really simple. This is actually a feature that was present on a couple of other Olivetti notebooks, but on this machine here is pretty much wonderful. Another great advantage of this device here is that not only it runs on a typical rechargeable nickel metal battery pack, but you can also stick AA's in it. So if you run out of battery, or if you don't really want to use rechargeables, you can just buy a new pack of AA's, stick them in, and you're good to go. Boot time and overall performance is actually not that bad. The boot time is exceptionally great because this device here not only has a 20 megabyte hard drive, but it also has a built-in 1 megabyte something ROM. So when you boot it up, it actually boots the operating system from the ROM and then switches to the hard drive. So the boot up times are actually fairly quick. Okay, so I've hooked up the Quaderno to the power supply because the battery pack is long gone. It's just made out of nickel metal rechargeable cells, and I don't have any batteries to spare. So let's start it up from cold, and there we go. So it's the BIOS. It's doing the self-test. It's got about 640K of RAM, plus 320 of extended memory. It says there are two fixed disks because it's one it's the hard drive, the other one is the ROM, and we are done. There we go. It's booted from cold. It by default it boots up to this this menu here. It is the Olivetti PA. It's the Olivetti personal assistant. This is a way of easing the use of a DOS personal computer. It's got a couple of built-in applications. It's got notes, a calculator, a calendar, it's got a file manager and a few others. It also has the voice manager, which is the one that lets you use the built-in voice recorder. You can see that there are also shortcuts here to use it, with one dedicated to enabling this feature. This menu here brings up the PA. Turbo controls the processor speed between low, medium, and high, and this is to reverse the display. So we can actually access it. So we can go press ask, and we are back at our DOS prompt. We can do whatever we want, and it works just as nice. It's running, I think, DOS 5 with an Olivetti banner as well. We can actually enable the voice recorder, and there we go, we're in the voice recorder, and we can choose what if we want to play back a specific memo. So we press play and it starts playing. We press stop and it stops, and we can actually rewind or fast forward the tape. And I don't know if you can see it, but actually we have a display here, and it shows you the pretty much just like a tape counter. You can move back and forward. So we can actually move back to our prompt, and we can go to the menu. There we go. We're back to our main menu. We can actually do a few other things. I don't have too much software loaded up on it. I actually do have the original floppy drive that came with it. You need to power it externally, and it's pretty much as big as the machine, but sadly it has a citizen mechanism inside, and it's the one that uses belts, and of course the belts are gone. So sadly I cannot copy software to it, because this is the only device I've got. Olivetti also made some accessories available for it, mainly some adapters, some dongles to use with these two tiny connectors. Sadly, I don't have them. So what else can we do? This is actually another cool thing. This is the user manual, and as you can see, it's pretty much the same size as the machine. It's half the thickness, and this tells you about everything about the machine. And it also includes notes from the previous owner, because of course he was trying to learn how to use it. But the main problem of this machine was the operating system. It ran DOS. It wasn't really user friendly. The machine itself was, but the operating system wasn't. I collect Macintoshes, and there is a whole world of difference between a machine like this and something like a PowerBook 100. That's way easier to use than this device here, because this runs DOS, and DOS is not a very actually beginner user friendly. So this is probably the main flaw of the Quaderno. In fact, 1 year later, they updated it. They called it the Quaderno 33. They've bumped up the CPU specs, and it was able to run Windows. So that was a very good upgrade. Sadly, at that time, it wasn't competitive anymore. So this is a very special machine, and I'm happy to give you a demo for it. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll probably do a couple of other videos about it.